to even had a chance at playoffs, they would have had to go 6-0 and have one of Riddle or Dusty both go 0-6 in the last 6 games. Unfortunately for Singularity, Riddle and Dusty did win today. So Singularity now out of playoffs contention, however slim a chance it would have been. That said, they nearly took a win off Riddle last week, and they were very frustrated by the way things like the Baron went out in the later game. And X7 currently in first place. This is a chance for Singularity to instead play blue shell, as you like to phrase it.
Yes. And
make, you know, XL's job a little easier, because obviously they've got the 0-2 versus X7, but if they do drop a game here and there where they shouldn't, there's still a chance for XL to go for first.
And of course, the last bit about stakes, obviously, X7, they were here to impress, and they've kind of done that job versus JDXL, their main competition. Monstrous. Now, that doesn't mean they can't give us some extra thoughts, an extra question mark of, oi, you can't just be losing to a team like Singularity that are 0-12. On the side of Singularity, of course, you know, there is no promotion relegation at the end of spring. That only happens at the end of the summer split, so they are still here to develop. They still got some time. No, they won't be locked into playoffs. They won't have that experience, but there is a level of safety there for them to try and reconsider their standing in this split. Could have ourselves a level 1 as Yeppe activates that. Actually, both supports going for the Aftershock, neither going for the Glacial, wanting that extra tankiness themselves. They might need it now.
Indeed, and of course, Xing on the Alistair is not a pick we see so much of these days. It was, of course, more popular a couple years ago. But as it stands, it's still something that's a little bit more of a rarity, especially now we've moved more towards things like the pick champions and honestly enchanters, even in the bot side, made the likes of Alistair's melee abilities and ranges a little bit difficult to pull off.
And it was actually a very ego pick in the draft, if I say so myself, because you picked that on 4 with a couple of picks left, and it was opening up a potential Silas pick. It was opening up a potential, everything is Dragana really going in deep onto that level 2 to level 1. Of course, Cassiopeia always was a decent matchup into the likes of the Rise, slightly outranges them, has huge impact in team fights. And then you look at how they're going to deal with the rest of this team. If you're going to be the Tryndamere, you're going to be this ass trying to run forwards. If you're stuck in that miasma, of course, you're then grounded. It makes it harder for you to navigate those team fights if you're kind of going down the absolute jaws of this team fight. If you're running straight down into them, it gets very difficult fighting into Cassiopeia. So X7, their task this game is going to be, can you stop Singularity from setting up or find different ways to approach the fight? That's what I'm keeping my eyes on. Singularity looking to deny that.
Of course, for X7, they've got themselves some very mean-looking side laners. Rise and Tryndamere, known for their ability to play side lanes and to outplay people coming in to try and stop them. Rise also turned to Porp and Haru. Last week, Haru put on a clinic. He absolutely eviscerated JDXL in the early game, running rampant on the Hecarim, going 9-0 and stomping out a game that we thought could be close, could be tight, that JDXL may be even favored into, and X7 put doubts in their abilities quite heavily to rest in that week. On the other side, Porp pulled out the Ivern a couple weeks ago.
With a Tristana, yes.
Yeah, did quite a good job with it, honestly. Was making things happen in the early game, but Singularity have not been able to convert early plays, early leads sometimes, into meaningful mid-game proactivity that gets them far enough ahead to contest.
Yeah, but you know, you look back to that last game, which Singularity had on the other side, and you think, okay, well, they had a really good early game versus Riddle. They were winning in the 2v2. They were solo killing. And of course, you look back to Spike even picking up the Zeri game a couple of games before that. I think that was against Astralis, sadly, and a loss to them again, but managed to pull off some really good, feel-good moments, if nothing else, getting, you know, 8 or 9 kills on the board. This could be a very big confidence booster for all of these players. Putting down that mark on the scuttle, zoning out where Haru is, and largely just trying to farm up into relevance. And that first, well, actually boots first is really important on the Ivern as well, to get the lucidity, get yourself some extra ability haste to spam out more shields, and trying to survive through to that point where Jin Sao is, of course, really strong pre-level 3.
To explain why I'm chuckling there a little bit, I thought you were going to say Cassiopeia, but wait, Cassiopeia can't buy boots, and I was just being dumb, was actually where that was.
Okay, look, I know that sometimes my predictions are called into question. I know that you know, I like to put out some hot takes, but that one I'm fairly sure I wouldn't have done.
It's literally impossible. Yes, no. Snakeskin boots could be an option for the side of X7 if they can murder Cassiopeia.
Do you remember when Cassiopeia's passive wasn't the move speed, but it was the stacking AP and everything? Really, it was crazy, absolutely crazy. You ended up getting effectively a death cap's worth of power at the end of it, like that little evolving passive. Luckily, we don't have to deal with that anymore, so I don't have to remember exactly what it did because it's no longer relevant. Isn't that nice?
I'm happy for you.
I am
I
too.
honestly
I'm less happy
for
for
the game,
Sing.
as we've got a bit of a play in the bot side. Yepe having to flash out. Spiky, though, with the Gravitum and the Inferno, can make a lot of hell as Kasing has to flash out. Good early gank there from Porp. Forces all the summoners out of X7's bot lane. Spiky, though, only has a flash remaining, so it's not like Singularity are super happy with the amount of summoners
so
they have.
this is one of the X factors of the Ivern, but it's not there to help mid.
Gane gonna try and stay alive, but wait, the turnaround could potentially be there. Porp goes forwards, but is just about okay. Throws out the Pengu dab. No Schliegums in this game as the name of that emote comes through.
Level 6 from Jaeger.
Oh my days, that could have been scary, but the Mocking Shout not quite enough.
Okay,
Ruby
right.
burning the Ghost in trade with Jaegers, though.
Yeah, I was wondering if that should have just been a full dive at that point. Of course, both popping that Ghost. Level 6, level 5. And Tatui somehow falling behind in the XP here.
Does not have Ghost, does have Flash. Both of these people have Flash. The Mocking Shout had come through, and Jaeger throws out the collateral damage early to try and clear the way, but it means there'll be an early reset. There's no teleport, remember. This is Flash Ghost Graves.
It is, but now, of course, both of those Ghosts are gone. I'm actually very interested in seeing how Jaeger itemizes into this matchup, because Graves should be going Hullbreaker first in this matchup. That's my belief in it. It stops the Tryndamere having such rampant kill pressure. But if you get a lead on that Tryndamere and you get up to, or you can build a Hullbreaker yourself, you go towards a Gale Force, something like Navori Quickblades afterwards. If you go Hullbreaker to Hullbreaker in this matchup and you get 2-3 items, Graves doesn't have that much ability to stand and fight. No. We've seen that, not necessarily in EU, because we've only seen a couple of Tryndameres. We've seen it across some other regions. Of course, we're both very familiar with the LGL, with the Hullbreakers taking over. PCS, very similar. LPL somehow avoided it. But either way, you look at how the Tryndameres have been playing it out on the western regions, and actually they haven't been building that well into the Graves, and the Graves managing to survive. Porp looking to survive and is in a lot of danger.
And he's going to try and play it out as best he can. The Brushmaker comes down, but I don't think there's any way you get to outplay that. Guerrilla Warfare not going to work, as at the top side, Jaeger flashes and gets the kill onto Tui. That is a problem. You called out the Tryndamere getting a lead. That's exactly what we were worried about.
Exactly, because now you have a lead on the Tryndamere, you have a lead in your mid-jungle 2v2 to boot, because Dragana already went down. Maybe bot lane can be the saving grace.
Yeah, Pei managed to find a hook, but Nata is starting to be able to trade this out. Remember, there's not a lot of summoners to go around. The double Gravitum route comes through with the Binding Eclipse, but Spiky with the Infernum and the Crescendum, they get too much more. Another hook lands, though. Kasing goes down, and maybe they can run down for more. Spiky flashing forward. It's an onslaught of Crescendums, and they'll get a double onto the Aphelios.
Okay, so one of the lanes stands up and is accounted for. It's Nata and it's Kasing that bite the bad end of that trade. It's going to be a huge wave loss to this tower as well, but overall X7 still not unhappy with the state of the map. Sure, you give up a couple of kills. Yes, they're to an Aphelios, but the top side of your map is still running rampant. Singularity picking up a dragon, have to see how that carries on through the game, but X7, make no mistake, I still feel like they're in control of this game. It's early days, but still giving this much gold to the likes of the Tryndamere and everyone on the top side, a very dangerous prospect.
Absolutely. Now see what happens in the bot side, because Yepe actually had a significant HP disadvantage, but lands a gorgeous dredge line.
100%. And we know that the bot lane of Singularity really stepped up against Riddle. They were 2v2 killing. We know that this bot lane has found their comfort now. They're starting to find these trades. And to succeed at this level, considering the expectations for this team against a team of this level too, is still, again, one of those feel-good moments for Singularity, though the results are obviously not what they wanted. Now the question is, what can you do with this lead? If you're going to play that blue shell, we're going to keep using that term. If you're going to do that, you need to start really utilizing this gold put on the Aphelios to its best extent.
And again, this is one of the reasons why we see a little less Alistair these days. Once the Aftershock is down, you can re-engage, particularly pre-6, and that's the kind of thing that can happen. And shout out to Spiky as well. Great weapon management. Went from the Duskwave and the Gravitum into the Severum and the Crescendum, got the Flash Onslaught. That's just well played on the Aphelios.
See, this is great because you know that I know all of Aphelios' weapon names and the ability names of it. Now, I know that most of the audience probably doesn't give a damn about Aphelios' ability names.
Yeah,
because it's just like, oh, which one's the one where you spin around flying out with all the red guns and stuff? Well, okay, we'll try and educate a few people through that. If well, if you didn't care, I mean, you might still not, but we're still going to tell you anyway.
Yeah, well, that's kind of our jobs, in fairness.
Okay, that's a good point, well made. I don't really know how to respond to that apart from, well, yes, it's a fair cop, you got me.
Got a little bit of interesting positioning here from both bot lanes again as the focus remains down here with summoners beginning to come back up again. But of course, Spiky did burn the flash, and that was the summoner advantage that Singularity had. It could turn around as a disadvantage as Dragane does manage to outplay that one a little bit, but a good play around the bush there to control the control ward. Maybe I should have chosen a better word there. Either way, still looking at a very hefty advantage for the Tryndamere, and a pretty scary Rise as well, who's going to continue to be pretty scary with this ghost
lane.
teleport.
The bot lane was the one hole in that net, and Haru is making sure to try and patch that up with a bit of vision control. Haru's still spotted. But I love how Tempt is playing this. He's going down towards the bot side. He's got himself a ghost. He's got himself an ultimate. He's got himself an ability to impact this bot lane.
Jaeger's dropped the ghost, he's got himself an Undying Rage, and he screams like Grog Stonejaw, I would like to rage! Bot side though, it's a 1-for-1, it's actually Spiky picks up a kill and stays alive. That's still Natu who picks up one back, who gets excited. A 1-for-1 right now, Dragane has come down here. Daisy summoned, but the Stone Golem falls, but Haru was a trade out for Yepe. The HP bars were a little dicey for Singularity, but they do stall any further dives.
They do, but I mean, that's actually one of the better case scenarios on the bot side for Singularity, but Dragane, no!
That's such a bad position, gets taken out, the petrifying gaze means nothing, and instead it's a monument put atop his own grave, turns into a statue, rather, does the Cassiopeia.
So this has been the story for Singularity, and also, again, credit to X7 for feeding off of the mistakes, you know, really just preying upon them, because Singularity, they get themselves a decent trade in the bot side. Actually doesn't matter towards that top side. That gold lead blowing out of control. So at least you'd hope on the side of Singularity that they could maybe maintain something on the bot side. They do get a decent counterplay to this. Once again, jungler is in place, but it, again, is kind of turned around with everything that happened afterwards with Dragane just stepping a bit too far.
It is, and of course they did at least stop that Herald as you mentioned, but this here, look, that ward, that single ward there as they see.
It all started with that ward, that damn ward, but they didn't track the Alistar.
They saw Tempt recalling, they thought they could
Tempt recalling, thought they could get the catch. Of course, Cass still had that flash, still had the ult, had the W, has a lot of damage at this point. Trying to find those micro plays, instead finds himself a not so micro death.
That's a lot of gold going now into X7's pockets. Jaeger got a second solo kill, as I mentioned. I made the Fox Machina reference for a reason. That Berserker is off the chain right now. Looking more and more like he's got some very scary magical weapons in inventory with the Gale Force in. Bot side, though, is Singularity's one saving grace, because Spiky did pick up a third kill, but Dragane being kind of forced to retreat a little bit here, but Singularity might want to contest, honestly.
Okay, well, Yepi walking up into a difficult position. See, the Singularity are trying to control something around the mid lane. They know that if these Realm Warps start coming out and even faster and faster rhythm, it's going to be difficult for them to play. Nata is not going to get caught. Porp is going to get trapped off. Potential for Kasing to go in.
You can see Daisy just playing block and making things difficult. Kasing can't quite get far enough forward. Tempt on the other side does get hooked. Needs to be a little bit afraid. Knocked up with the depth charge. I apologize. Moonshot went wide. Daisy falls, and I think they want to retreat, but wait, Kasing got rooted, he's gone too deep, does have himself an unbreakable will to make him sure he's safe. He walked forwards! That was risky, he just goes down, that's a fourth kill to Spiky. Haru going in, but gets rooted by the binding Eclipse. At the other side, Porp down to no HP. Petrifying Gaze comes through, but they won't be able to secure the kill. Spiky has to flash away. It's a 1-for-1 in the end, but the kill, importantly for Singularity, ends up in Aphelios' hands.
It does, but again, look at the rest of the map. You're getting another wave pushed in. It's a bloody standstill yet again in the bot side, but the Tryndamere is starting to pop off. Jaeger has that gold. We talked about, oh yeah, this matchup, very important to see how the Tryndamere itemizes. It's very important to see how far ahead he can get. And as much as Singularity are trading as good as they get on one area of the map, and they're trying to punch upwards, X7, they're finding the advantages where they've been given to them, and they're using them well.
Oh, yes, they are. Over 35 CS and 2 levels is this Tryndamere ahead. Every time we look over, it's Tui in a dangerous position.
Gosh.
You can see the gold discrepancy is monumental. Bot side is the one change. There is a lead for Spiky, but Tempt, Haru, so much difference as Jaeger could maybe think about doing it again, but not quite yet.
And he briefly popped over to the individual gold there, of course, a huge advantage in that top lane.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know that Fort Knox actually had a 7 attached after the X on the end of that name, because that's what Jaeger's dragging around with him. It is a whole bunch of just bricked gold. Just
gold reserves for a small country.
No, he's got bricks of gold in a burlap sack, and he's whacking Tatooine around their face with it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I keep making all the D&D references, but right now with the 2-0 start, like, He gets the rage. He's got himself a nat 20 every time he hits. It's a critical strike. See, it works. And like, there's not a lot this Graves can do. He's got the steel caps. He's got himself a phase, but he's going to be in a 1 versus 2 as Jaeger. And I think he might still outplay this. The Ghost is down. The Enduring Rage is still available. Throws down the Mocking Shout. There will be the Death Dodge. Stops him. Gets the kill anyway. He'll die in trade, surely. But it'll be Yepe that picks up the shutdown. And that is a frustration for Tatui. And Tempt is here to maybe continue the pressure anyway. Nate and Kinsing could be the sacrifice of Spiky coming over. Remember, he's got a Moonlight Vigil that goes wide. That means there's no Graviton binding the Eclipse to hit. And they'll back away as Haru summons Herald number 2 in the top lane.
And I always thought of the Graviton Aphelios ult much like the Varus ultimate, Moonlight Varus, you might even say. But remember, that skill shot used to be the slimmest in the game and so damn hard to hit. But Spiky kind of missing a bit of a sitter, whereas Tatui sitting under this turret. I mean, even a 1v2, the Tryndamere starting to really flex those muscles. This was a matchup that was left alone for a little too long, perhaps. You can start to stabilize it with a bit of pressure, but of course, Porp was called all around the map, and with that early death himself, couldn't end up stabilizing it. See what happens when you let a Tryndamere go completely off the chain.
3-1 gets the kill in a 1v2 at the inhibitor turret. You're looking at Tempt, who is, despite some potential challenges with range discrepancies into the Cassiopeia, has done very well in that lane. They've managed to get most of the outer turrets. They are, only the bot lane remains, and Jaeger will make short work of that, I'm sure, in moments. The only place which has been a little bit back and forth is this bot lane, and even then, X7 have made some successful plays there as well. Really, Singularity's hopes all rest on Spiky, and he's doing okay, but I don't know how easy it's going to be, and bluntly, X7 don't have to commit to a 5v5 where the Aphelios is
and that's
anyway.
The big thing. That's exactly the point I wanted to make next. You've completely read my mind in terms of X7, they might have to fight against a fair Aphelios as well. They're fighting against the Tryndamere right now with Singularity.
They go back in. It's going to be a 2v2. Jaeger's got the Undying Rage. The crit strikes are there. Can keep going on to Porp. That is a Super Mega Death Rocket, and that is a double kill to Jaeger. 5-1-0. You just can't stop this Berserker. The king is in town. It's not just the Freljord he wants. He wants the crown in the NLC. It's another turret, and X7 can do no wrong in these side lanes.
They absolutely can't, because Singularity can't get there in force. They can't get there in the 5v5. We mentioned that so early. It was so obvious that Singularity wanted to fight front to back, play with all their pieces in the same area of the map, and X7 have just not given it to them. Yes, they've traded occasionally, but these are the fights which they love to take, and Singularity, they're playing right into them.
Turnaround to avoid the Petrifying Gaze, and then the Gale Force and the turnaround. It's just too clean.
I mean, yes, you can see that the Miasma to go down to stop the first spin, but you have to be stood on it to stop it. He walks off of it, spins back into it. And the poor Cassiopeia really had nothing more to say after that.
Yeah, it's looking more and more like, less like a sword spin, more like an Apache helicopter at this point, as that Tryndamere spinning slash. So much damage.
I'm not sure he's going to be attacking at 3,000 rounds per minute, but maybe the same amount of damage as something like a mini gun. Singularity trying to launch their own alpha strikes towards that bot side, but not able to find anything themselves. And again, that's just been Singularity finally have their own members stacked up in one area. They're trying to get towards the dragon, but at this point, they're 10,000 gold down. Like, this isn't a last hurrah. This is trying to weakly raise a flag as you see the onslaught of cavalry charge coming towards you.
Exactly, 17 minutes in, it was 10,000 gold. It's a minute later, and it's not changed, unsurprisingly, but Navori Quick Blades are in. The 2 items were in to attempt a long time ago. Nat is at 1.5. He's been doing just fine. There's a stopwatch in inventory for Haru, and Singularity, you've got perhaps this chance to fight before the item discrepancy gets too big. They want this Infernal Drake, but I don't know how
Kinsing!
It's a 2-man headbutt pulverized. At least Spiky stays alive. Can he turn it around? He's got Severum and Crescendo Red and White. Good night, but it's actually Singularity that's falling down. The double spinning slash deletes 2. Petrifying Gaze gets 1. Haru is traded back, and that is a lot of chakrams around Spiky, but he needs to stay alive. Rune.
A quadra? Penta?
Secures the kill. It is a quadra kill for Tempt. They're going to try and get him in. It is a Mocking Shout, and Tryndamere finds the pentakill. Is it Thursday yet, apparently?
Oh man, hail to the barbarian king. Jaeger stumps down his authority, and this Tryndamere, you left him alone. He turns up to all of your members. This is not a champion that is meant to be able to team fight, and yet they are so far off the handle. Spam out your T-Tours as he takes a whistle-stop tour across all of the members of Singularity.
There's just no stopping him. Jaeger, we've had some questions about him occasionally, but we've always known he's a man to go for the plays. The pentakill in this one, the detours, the cinematic overtures. This is a horror movie in slow motion.
Oh gosh, look at those hard cuts to the spins, and he was cutting very, very hard.
He's got 90 minutes!
Got himself 3 items just before 20 minutes. I mean, that was with a team behind him. You know, I wonder if he could do that again without a team now.
He's a Dark Souls boss. He's just going to come at you. You're going to need to dodge roll and hope.
We saw that gold there. He's on 12,000 gold.
Lord.
12,000 gold. He's gone into practice tool and clicked the gold button a couple of times. Whereas Tattoo is sounding like somewhere between 6,000 and 7,000. He has almost doubled his lane opponent's resources. Singularity, they're trying to go back to the pinata, but they're the ones getting hit by the baseball bat.
And 1-0 Tempt manages to pop the phase right, well, the ghost alongside himself, and he gets away from the depth charge. Now the turnaround comes in. It might be another set of kills. Nata picks this one up. No second pentakillers yet for the side of Jaeger, but it's a double. Maybe they can look for another jinx instead. Spikey needs to stay alive. It's Tempt that secures that one, but Haru is chasing further. Porp is going to dash away best he can. There's not enough room. A double for Tempt, a double for Nata, and a very large Baron Nashor that will be their prize. And all the while, Jaeger and Tatui with no teleports are in the bot lane. I think Jaeger might just look for a dive here, potentially. He's still got that 2-level advantage. The mocking shout forces Tatui away, and I don't think he can even think about contesting a 10-1 Tryndamere.
This is not having your cake and eating it. This is eating out the entire buffet. This is
going into the center of London, center of Tokyo, saying, here are my fat stacks of cash. I want the bakery. It's like, own the shop.
And Jaeger has, credit to him, gone and got that bread. He is insanely powerful, but every single member of X7 is at this point. SNG say, sweet, we have a 4v4 without the Trynd. That's 10 of their kills gone. Well, yeah, I mean, take 10 kills off the board, and you're still behind in gold. You're still behind in the amount of kills there, too. Spikey, I mean, tries to go fight through, has himself the Infernum, tries to get that AoE through that front line to the back line, but, I mean, there's only so much the Ivern can do, and he's left to become mulched paper at the end of that fight, too.
And don't get me wrong, Infernum and Gravitum, the purple and blue guns, you can do a lot of AoE routes. You've got some good ways to set things up, but when you're trying to run away, when you're trying to heal up, it's not the easiest at that point, and there wasn't a lot he could do even with the Gale Force, and got a bit challenging, really.
And as much as we have occasionally said to X7, you know, particularly in the mid-split just before this, saying, oh, maybe they weren't taking some of their games seriously. This one, they are seriously turning up to play, turning up to impress. This is going to be a 1v3 with the Tryndamere, but they haven't shut him down. This is a double summon ultimate Tryndamere. I don't think you want this fight. I think you want to disengage from this Singularity.
They're thinking about it anyway. Yepe's just recalling.
Let him go. Let him go. Don't try it.
They're going to try. That's Daisy over the wall, but you just can't think about it. You've got to leave it alone. He literally...
He's three-shot Daisy.
Wait, it was merely a 2-shot. He was left on 11 HP after 2 auto attacks. That is unreal. He's got Ghost Pop. He's going to chase down Yepe. There's no way to stop him. It's a 6-level discrepancy for crying out loud. All the while, X7 are in the base. It's a flash.
Guns,
Talent strike. Porp has to flash out. He gets him, does Jaeger. That'll be a double for Nata. Jaeger is here. There's a Realm Warp onto Spikey. Yeah, you've got Crescendum and Sever. It means Jack, all a quadra kill to Nata. Who cares about lane? X7 in 23 minutes prove why they have a world championship on their roster. It is not a victory. It is a trauma experience. X7 devastate the game.
Blunt force trauma, 12-1, undisputed top of the table, putting down the competition.
We had some questions about X7 a couple of weeks ago. They came in last week, they cracked their neck,